Well, the evacuation of around 600 Indian students stranded in Ukraine's Sumy took place today. Union Minister Hardeep Singh Puri confirming that all Indian students who were stranded in Sumy have now been moved out. Let's take a look at just where the entire evacuation process now stands.
Well, today has been an absolutely critical day as far as the remaining Indian students in Ukraine are concerned. More than 600 students who are actually in Ukraine, in Sumy, studying in institutions over there, have been pulled out. Now, this has been a process that's been so very difficult because remember the first couple of rounds of creating humanitarian corridors failed because of allegations by Ukraine and Russia that these areas were in fact being shelled. But today that ceasefire, on the basis of talks yesterday between Ukraine and Russia, did hold. And so these students were put on buses, now on their way to western Ukraine, from where they're going to actually exit. So that's a very major development. At the end of the day, Operation Ganga, despite the fact that these students should have been pulled out much earlier along the lines of what several Western nations were doing, be that as it may, the fact that we've actually got out 18,000 plus students, that more than 20,000 Indian nationals in total have actually exited Poland, exited Ukraine, is actually quite remarkable. It's required a great deal of planning. It's required a great deal of commitment by Indian Air Force, by the Indian Air Force, by various airlines in India, and not least of all the Indian Foreign Service. Because remember, these are IFS officers, and it's a relatively small mission in Kiev, were themselves facing the brunt of a lot of problems. They've come under intense criticism, and perhaps some of that is entirely justified because lines didn't work initially. Call center lines were not going through. Students were frustrated, angry, upset, and that could all be understood. But now on day 13, if you've got a situation where essentially all Indian students are out of Ukraine, and that you have an opportunity now to essentially wind up Operation Ganga, then it does indicate that we finally did get our act together in getting all of these students out. But the big question now is what happens next? As far as Russia is concerned and as far as Ukraine is concerned. On day 13, it's fair to say that Russia's military offensive has been exceptionally poor by modern military standards. Yes, they have been shelling, but they've neither gained the city of Kharkiv nor of Kiev. They certainly have no presence in western Ukraine, and the Ukrainian resistance has been singularly strong. They are aided greatly by the West, which continues to arm them. So this results in two big fears. One, the biggest fear, of course, is if this game plan of Vladimir Putin isn't working, will he resort to indiscriminate shelling and will he resort to indiscriminate use of air power? That could result in massive civilian casualties and is a worst case scenario. The other scenario, and this is what people are hoping for, is that there is some sort of an agreement still between Ukraine and Russia. Remember, in Turkey, the Russian foreign minister will be meeting his Turkish counterpart in a couple of days. Will that be the off-ramp that both sides can actually look at to ensure that there is peace and that the loss of lives is minimized? Vishnu Shom for NDTV.